Hello, fellow horror fans. Can I interest you in a fun and unique horror trilogy entirely directed by a woman? Oh, you've already seen it? What took me so long to watch the Fear Street movies? Honestly, I have no idea. I remember the movies coming out and everyone talking about them and knowing they would be right up my alley, but for whatever reason, forgetting to watch them. It took rewatching the Schmodown and seeing the Fear Street exhibition match between Mara Knopik and Perry Nemiroff to be reminded that, damn, I need to watch these movies. Then literally the next day, a trailer came out for a fourth Fear Street movie that I had no prior idea was even coming. Clearly, the universe was giving me a sign. So I watched them over the last week or so, and it's now definitely one of my favorite horror trilogies. The films delivered the exact experience I was hoping for while breaking new ground and not being remotely predictable. The three films work so well on their own, but also as one continuous story, and they have so much going for them. Let's dive in. Spoilers for all three movies. Easily the best thing going for the Fear Street trilogy is the cohesiveness. Yes, the movies are based off the books by R.L. Stine, who also wrote Goosebumps, which I loved to read back in the day, but writer-director Leigh Janiak went in her own direction with the films and had a clear vision for all three, which shows up in the final products. As the trilogy goes along, we learn more and more about the lore regarding Sarah Fier, the past killers, what it all means, how it connects to the present, and how to potentially stop it. The first one, 1994, introduces us to our core timeline and core characters, as well as establishing some of the lore. If you didn't know anything about these movies, you might think it's just a standard whodunit slasher. Then once you see the supposedly dead killer still killing, it takes a massive turn into the supernatural, setting it apart from anything else. Side note, but 1994 had a very Scream-esque vibe, for multiple reasons, but the opening scene is one of them. Felt very much like a classic Scream opening scene. Shout out Maya Hawke for killing it in that one sequence, one of my favorites and one of the few known actors in this trilogy, which I think is a good thing. Always loved discovering some new performers. The score also felt very Scream-esque, knowing it was Marco Beltrami before I even looked. Iconic horror composer who worked on all three of these movies and always perfectly captured the vibes and emotions of every scene and switched it up depending on the subgenre of each film in the trilogy. We find out the town of Shadyside has been plagued by tragedy after tragedy, seemingly cursed or rather haunted for centuries by the ghost of Sarah Fier, a witch from the 17th century, while the neighbor town, Sunnyvale, has seen nothing but prosperity. Why do these ghosts seem to only attack residents of Shadyside, and why are they specifically targeting Sam? There have been many similar attacks throughout the years, and Josh is onto it, being along for the ride, trying to figure out what's going on as a viewer at the same time as the characters are, was quite fun and made for a richer, more satisfying, more engaging experience. There are multiple occasions where they seem to find the answer but are not quite there, to the point where by the time we get to the third movie, it almost seems hopeless. Undisturbing the grave didn't work, burning the ghost to smithereens didn't work, killing Sam then bringing her back didn't work, asking Ziggy for help didn't work, reuniting Sarah with her hands sort of worked, in that it showed Dina the truth and put the future into her hands. There is a constant through line throughout this trilogy, and the stories echo each other. Ziggy survived in 1978, the 94 characters realize that and seek her out for help. She, like Dina, experienced a killing spree and a loss of friends, forever changed. Both sprees played out in similar ways, and that there are characters who started to put the pieces together while having different sets of characters that feel like real people of their time. The 1666 story also sees a series of people getting killed off with a mystery element to it, but was the origin of all of it. Dina, while not being an actual reincarnation of Sarah Fier, which was a bit confusing at first, at least to me, very much echoes her and was the right person to finally bring her justice. A common theme throughout all three timelines is a woman being ostracized for being different, and in the latter two movies in the trilogy, blamed for all the death. Ziggy is the weird outcast girl who is accused of being a witch, and Sarah Fier was scapegoated and accused of being a witch because she was gay. All of these characters face oppression and tragedy in similar but different ways and deal with them in their own ways. The generational trauma of Shadyside runs through many centuries and generations, especially these three stories we see. The Fear Street trilogy tackles 3 different subgenres of horror, with 1994 being a Scream-style high school slasher, 1978 being a secluded cabin-in-the-woods Friday the 13th style slasher, and 1666 being a classic, haunting witch horror film. Despite the parallels with the themes and character experiences, the vibes and atmospheres were different, avoiding making them feel stale or repetitive. Another strong point is the characters. Without good characters and performances, there is nothing to care about or get invested in. As stated, I had never even heard of most of these actors prior to watching this trilogy. Of course, the big standout here is Kiana Madeira as Dina, who is a mainstay in all 3 movies. We don't see much of her in the second one, but she does have a very important place in the story. Dina is definitely one of my favorite horror characters now. She's determined, resourceful, smart, and will do whatever it takes to protect the people she cares about. She is the one who ultimately figures out how to end the cycle and was the right person to be shown the truth about Sarah Fier. She goes through so much and comes out on the other side. Her relationship with Sam was really the core of this trilogy. The entire story is spent trying to save Sam, from the ghosts and then from herself. It's awesome that the central relationship of the trilogy is a lesbian one. I'm sure a certain group of incel grifters had a field day with that one. Keep making that money, losers. Their relationship was even echoed in 1666, with Sarah and Hannah's relationship being the reason they were accused of being witches, and the reason Sarah had been blamed for all the tragedy Shadyside has faced throughout the years. Of course, Sarah and Hannah did not literally look like Dina and Sam, respectively. That's just the way Dina was shown in the past, but the parallels are clearly there. Sam seems like a genuinely sweet person and also goes through so much throughout the trilogy. The scene where we thought she was going to have to sacrifice herself was gut-wrenching, but she was willing to do it. Olivia Scott Welch brought that kindness and compassion that made us as the audience care about her and want her to be okay. Josh is a personal favorite of mine, portrayed wonderfully by youngin' Benjamin Flores Jr. He is the resident nerd, the Randy of the group, or the person I would be if I were in a situation like this. He does all the research about the history of Sarah Fier and the murder sprees in Shadyside, and tries to devise a plan to stop it. He's tentative and not that much of a fighter, but steps up when the moment demands it. His crush on Kate is adorable as well, and can you blame him? Though, how old are they supposed to be? I guess they're supposed to be both in high school, but they're 7 years apart in real life, and it looks like it in this movie. Just comes across a little jarring is all I'm saying. It felt like a little kid who had a crush on his babysitter. It probably would have been better if she didn't reciprocate. Anyway, Kate herself is quite likable, and her death was brutal. Did not necessarily expect that. We were sort of lulled into a false sense of security with these main characters, and that served as a reminder to not get too comfortable. Part 2, 1978, is my least favorite of the 3. It felt the most generic and derivative, but it has its bright spots. Primarily, the delightful Sadie Sink. I think she is one of the most talented young actresses working today, and she carried this movie on her back. She has such a great screen presence and brings this likable, introverted, quirky, cynical energy that I very much appreciated and related to. Emily Rudd is solid as her sister Cindy as well, and their relationship was one of the strong points of this entry. And as a fan of the Friday the 13th franchise, I'm always a sucker for people getting killed in the woods while at camp. By the way, was the grown-up Berman being Ziggy as opposed to Cindy supposed to be a twist? I guess I had it ruined for me by the cast list. Damn you, IMDb. 1666 is probably the most unique entry, showing Dina Sarah's story while also wrapping everything up perfectly. The twist with the good bloodline was very effective and unexpected. Nick seemed like such a nice guy. I actually really liked his chemistry with Ziggy, and we had been led to believe this entire time that Sarah was the villain and the cause of all of this. There is great social commentary there. Women, especially in this case gay women, tend to be easy scapegoats to cover up for the true villain. The good family has kept Shadyside down and Sunnyvale prospering for centuries, and no one was paying attention to the man behind the curtain. The twist added some spice to the trilogy and added layers to the Sarah Fier backstory. That, along with the awesome, tense, action-packed third act, made 1666 my favorite film in the trilogy. The stakes were high, trying to fight off the ghosts while also trying to save Sam, and every character was given something to do, including Martin. I like Martin. He's funny. At the time of recording this, the new one is not out yet, so I have not seen it yet, but this trilogy is legitimately awesome, and I have no idea what took me so long to watch it. It's definitely up there as one of my favorite horror franchises now. The fact that all 3 movies were directed by a woman is awesome. The fact that she worked some social commentary in there is awesome. The vibes are great, and each film feels like its own thing, each falling into a different subgenre of horror, but while also feeling like part of a cohesive, larger 3-part story. The characters are pretty good and got me invested in the story, rooting for them to succeed. Dina, Josh, and Ziggy in particular are standouts. Heck, even Martin, the seemingly throwaway character from 1994, comes through in the end. The mystery element of what really happened and how to resolve it is super intriguing, and new layers keep getting added as we go along. All 3 movies are so well paced, and the music elevates all of the emotions. I'm so glad I finally joined the party, and if for some reason you still haven't seen the Fear Street movies yet, do yourself the favor. They are all on Netflix. But the question is, if you have seen the Fear Street trilogy, what are your thoughts, and are you excited for the new one? It is a different director, so I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll see what happens. I'm still going to watch it right away. Drop your thoughts in a comment below. If you want to see more of this type of content, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified when I post a video. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed it. Likes are so important. Check out my Patreon for further benefits. Stay tuned for some more fun content, and I will see you soon.